this call, we wanted to do something with Todd, maybe a little unique about this call. Everybody, Todd's somebody that people don't need to have an introduction, just because I think Todd's kind of the network marketing OG of the industry. But I think unless you've spent time with him and traveled with him and intimately got to know him off stage and off the cameras and things, you start to realize he's an amazing person, amazing human being. And so I think today what I wanted to do with multiple audiences between Rocket Recruiting members, the Abundance Pub, large China and Asia, Southeast Asia community, I wanted to introduce Todd more from a deeper level and more of a personal level of starting to understand where did Todd come from and create this success. Because what I've realized is we've been doing these interviews and starting to recognize that people's childhood kind of shaped their window. And there's people that let it go. And then there's people that changed it and changed the narrative, changed the story. So Todd, I think let's kind of start from the roots of, where did you come from, born, childhood, how were you raised, and, your beliefs, your standards, what kind of beliefs were instilled in you as a young boy?
All right. So are we already recording? Want me to answer that already, or?
We are.
Okay.
Let's rock
cool.
and roll.
All right, good. My beginnings, I don't really go that far back very often. So I was born and raised in Washington State, lived there for 17 years of my life. Grew up in a family where, my dad drove big equipment, backhoes and things like that. And my mom worked at a cosmetic counter, or she was in some type of sales. She worked for different cosmetic companies. I grew up in a pretty, real average middle class, didn't have a lot of extra, weren't starving, but, didn't really have anything extra. And my parents got divorced a couple times. They got divorced when I was in third grade, got remarried, got divorced again. They figured they didn't figure it out the first time. And my mom married my stepdad, and my dad actually had two more marriages. He had one, a short stepmom, and the one he's been married to for probably 25 years. And I bring that up because, my stepfather when I was 14, he was he was a general manager of a radio station, and he was making six figures, right, in the late 70s, early 80s. Not like millions, probably, who knows, 150,000 a year or something would be my guess. And so I had grown up with like lack and no, we can't afford it. And again, like I had stuff, but not like I had JC Penney's versus Nike or something, that kind of thing. So,
yep.
So I remember this is like because the way you asked that question, like what are the things that kind of like formed you like early? I think the fact that I got to see what it was like having more money versus having less was a big moment for me. Like, oh, well, I can either do this or I can have this. This seems a little better, right?
Yep.
And I mean, we didn't do crazy stuff. I mean, took us on one like trip to Hawaii, but I could order anything I wanted to on the restaurant. I could, we did fun stuff, and he drove a nice car, lived in a nice house, and it was just that to me was I think a big impact for me. And my on my dad's side, I don't think my dad's probably ever made more than 50 or 60,000 a year. And yet, I remember one lesson he taught me that's actually served me really well. I would always have these chores at the house, and I had to clean the bathrooms. I remember cleaning the bathrooms, and then they checked the bathroom, and I think they found like one hair in like the tub after I had done it. One hair. And he's like, do you see that? I'm like, yeah, I see that. He goes, you need to do the bathrooms all over again. If you're going to do it right the first time. Otherwise you're doing it over. I'm like, hell, I don't want to have to redo the bathrooms ever again. So it's like, I got super anal about making sure you do a good job, but doing a good job fast. I also learned too, like when you hustle, you just get more done, right? So, I think a lot of people would probably get exhausted following me around during a work day because I get so much done. I don't dilly dally, cruise, take a break. I mean, it's like right. And so those are a couple like pre-entrepreneur lessons that I got. I don't know how, what angle you want me to go here, but I grew up in this, separated family. Another thing I can, when I was 17, my mom and stepdad moved to Long Beach, California. And I grew up in the same neighborhood, same place my whole life in, Kirkland, Juanita, Finn Hill, on the east side of Lake Washington. And I spent a summer in Long Beach, and I went down there. I saw a girl in a bikini on a skateboard, and I was just like, "Wait, what is going on? We don't see this is not Washington." It was like, think about it, mid 80s Southern California, right? And I went down there, and I came back, and I said, "Dad, I'm going to finish my senior year of high school with Mom. I'm moving to Long Beach." And I moved to Long Beach, and that was kind of interesting because, in life you go through change, right? We all change.
Yeah.
I grew up with the same people my whole life. And, I got picked on a ton when I was a kid. I was bullied a ton. A lot. I've actually had 3 guys separately over the last probably 5 years send me these long apology emails on Facebook after they found me 30, 40 years later to apologize about bullying me back in the day, which is kind of funny. I'm like, I'm all right. I turned out okay. Now you got that off your chest. You're good. So I had gone through change, but what's interesting is your friends don't necessarily see the change because they just you could have turned over a completely new leaf and been a different person, but your friends always see you as the way you've always been. So when I moved to California, and I was still discovering kind of who I was, I went through a punk rock phase and then a other phase. And then, I kind of settled in terms of like my vibe is kind of like my personal vibe is kind of a semi hippie reggae Grateful Dead vibe. Right. And I think some of you guys that are watching can probably figure that out. But, so when I moved to Long Beach, I could be whatever I wanted to be, and people accepted me for who I was, not who I used to be. And I think that's a beautiful thing that you can, with different audiences, depending on who you're doing business with, you can create whatever perception it is that you want. And I actually learned that.
Reinvent yourself.
For sure. And another lesson, actually. So I go to Long Beach State. I'm having a blast down there, surfing every day, going through college, getting my degree I was going to be an attorney. And then I changed from poli-sci to philosophy to psychology, settled on marketing. And I found myself, at the end of my, college and graduating, trying to find a job. And that's how I got introduced to network marketing, actually. My jobs through, I parked cars at Kelly's restaurant in Naples. I was a valet, and that was such an awesome job in college. That taught me a lot about hustling and super serving your clients, because it was basically a, mostly tip business. And if I hustled and I took care of the people which were pretty much rich people coming to this prime rib establishment. I don't know if it's still there or not. It probably should be. It's been there for eons. That's another little lesson. Then I got this, then in college, this is kind of funny. I met this guy, Fernando. He was 42. I met him in Professor Walzer's history class, and it's kind of weird, like a 42-year-old guy that ends up hanging out with college kids. That was a little creepy. But, Fernando kind of latched on to me and my friend Sean and our other friends. And we, he'd go to college parties with us and hang out, like this older Mexican dude. And he always had a big wad of cash, and I had nothing. I was a broke college kid, right? He always had this wad of cash. So he'd buy beers, he'd buy stuff. Fernando was great having Fernando around. One day he says to me, "Hey," he goes, "Hey, Keto," called me Kiddo. "Hey, Keto, I'll show you how to make $1,000 a week." I was like, "Okay." Is it legal? What are you doing? Yeah. Right? Because he always had money and I didn't have any. And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm number one." I goes, "I sell cable television." He goes, "I'll only get you the job if you do it the way I do it. I'm number one. I beat everybody. I only work a few nights a week. Everybody else works 12 hours a day, 6-7 days a week." I'm like, "I like it. Let's go." So I managed to, get through the interview. They gave me the sales job. And then Fernando drives me to Garden Grove, California. I know you know where that is. We get in the back of his 1971 GMC panel van, and he sits there and he starts to write out a script for me. Like, we're literally on the bed in the back of this van. It's creepy van with no windows on it, man. Like, one of the ones, like, if you got kids, you're like, holding onto your kids because the guy with the candy's coming
Yep.
Kidnapper man.
Yeah. And so, but he wrote out the script in Spanish. And I'm like, that's in Spanish. He goes, I know, I only sell to Spanish speaking people and we only sell HBO. You need to memorize this. I was like, what? I mean, I took Spanish in school, but he goes, you need to memorize it. He goes, all the other guys go to these 4 and 5 bedroom houses in Westminster and Huntington Beach. He goes, those people already either have cable or don't want it. I'm like, okay. So I memorized the script. Hola, yo soy de cable televisión. Vamos a venir a nosotros personas que con cable de I can still do the whole thing right now. And we were number 1 and number 2 every week. I worked 3 nights a week, three hours a night, and walk into the sales meeting on Monday morning after surfing Newport Beach river jetties. And I'd pull in and I'd, up on the board, the whiteboard was Fernando and Todd, or Todd and Fernando, every single week. And what I learned from that, and I think it's a great, great, great lesson, is if somebody has something that you want, and Eric, you and I have talked about this a little bit to some extent, even this morning. If somebody has something that you want, and they're willing to show you how they got it, like, here, dude, here's how it's done. This is exactly how I did it. You don't reinvent the wheel. You don't do it your own way. And
I think it's also the open. I mean, we've talked many times about just having a flexible mind and body, from the standpoint of everybody has this belief of what things should be, how hard things should be, how hard you should work, or how easy, or what comparison, and not realizing there's many opportunities like this that unless you were open to it, you would have never even gotten yourself into that place to where it opened your eyes and opened probably what was your future of where you were going. That opened the stepping stone to the next thing.
Yeah. I mean, we're like obviously a culmination of our life experiences. It's not like I came from any close to a silver spoon. I got a chance to see what not even a silver spoon, just like a clean spoon looked like, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so, so I had that cable job. I worked that for like a year, and that's while I was still in college. Right. And then I got this phone call while I was sitting in my apartment in Long Beach. And this guy called me up. He cold called me out of the white pages from a list of graduates at Long Beach State. And he said, look, I'm with the Orange County Marketing. We're a marketing company. We're looking for people that can train and manage others in the expansion of our company. We want to talk to you. I'm like, oh, cool job. Right. Career. Like, I was doing this cable thing, which I was making $1,000 a week at 21. Right. Which, and then, so I go to this Irvine, California, 18201 Von Carmen, Suite 610, pull up. Well, think I'm going to a job interview. It's a business opportunity meeting for a network marketing company. I don't know what network marketing is. Never heard of it. Don't know anything about it. It's off of my radar. I sat there with 50, 60 other people. Guy gives a presentation. I'm like, this makes sense. I'm like, I'm in. I gave him my credit card, maxed out my college credit card, the $500 that I could put on it. Started out with $500 in product, bought another $500 worth of product on a convenience charge at 28.99% unsecured loan. Started out with $1,000 in water filters and began my journey in network marketing. Now, and I came in, man. Let
me ask you before you go, just because I don't want to forget, you didn't know that it was an opportunity.
No, I thought it was a job interview.
I'm kind of curious, what do you feel as far as do you feel like, hey, you bait and switched me? Or like, cause you have people that it's like, I don't want to say what I do, but you don't want to give it up front. What's your thought on that? As far as, do you let somebody know like, hey, I've got an opportunity. I mean, this is what it is, or don't say it, get into, kind of get to the result and then reverse engineer. Are you going to get started? Like
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't really feel I got bait and switched. He didn't lie to me. He said, look, we're a marketing company. We're looking for people that can train and manage others in the expansion of our company. I of course, I assumed it was a job. But I probably didn't even know what a bait and switch was then. I mean, I just went there and it was an opportunity. It still was an opportunity, whether it's a job or an independent opportunity to do your own thing.
Yes.
As far as like inviting people, what I don't like that happens in this business is when people lie to you and they're evasive and they say, hey, come on over, I'm having a wine and cheese party at my house. And then they pull out a whiteboard and start drawing circles. And, you know, if I was going to invite people over, hey, I'm having a big social at my house. We're going to have some wine and cheese and some snacks. I'm going to be unveiling this business that I've been doing. And we're going to spend about 15 minutes talking about that, but it's still going to be a blast either way. Come on over. I mean, now you're being upfront, right?
Yes. Well, I think this is important just from a standpoint of, sponsoring recruiting. If you want to hit ranks in the the dollars that you want, you got to build a team. You got to bring people in. But that's the biggest challenge of the profession.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling, Jeff and I were going back and I said, Todd is the master at inviting and being able to connect with people. And so I think that's something I really want to get out of this call is the whole concept of what people are doing right and wrong. And the idea of bringing somebody over on a false pretense is going to get you both very uncomfortable. And it's going to get weird real quick if you do exactly that. Hey, we're here to have a little social. But then it's like whiteboard, it immediately comes out in circles and you're going, what the hell just happened right now? So it's these types of things from, and again, I go back to the reason why I started personally is because I believe your beliefs lead up to your inviting. Because if you don't feel worthy and you are super uncomfortable with you, I almost feel like when you go try to invite somebody else, it's very uncomfortable because you're not even comfortable with yourself and what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect segue into talking about prospecting, because like right where we are with me starting this network marketing journey. I mean, dude, my jobs were Jack in the Box, McDonald's, parking cars at Kelly's, and selling cable television. That was my life experience job wise. Here I am, hungry entrepreneur, see the opportunity, want to do something with it. I'm willing to show up. I'm coachable. Like, I don't know, like so many people are not coachable. It's like, this is how you do it. Okay, I'm going to do it just like this, right? So I came in, I started showing up, started attending trainings, was very nervous, was unsure of myself. I had a significant lack of belief in me because I'd never done anything like this before. I don't know that I was necessarily had a lack of belief like many people do in today's marketplace about the very profession of network marketing that they have, because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't hear pyramid scheme. Only the people at the top make the money. If you're not in early, it's too late. Like, which are all fallacies.
Yep.
So I didn't have any of the baggage. My only baggage was me, right? So there's a couple different levels where people, if they're going to be effective at prospecting, which is the number one activity that leads to success probably in any business, is drumming up new business.
Yep. In any business.
Business.
It's like people go, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not, like that. It's like, that's life.
You better be.
You better be. If you're, you must just be back in a cave or something, because you're selling yourself every day to people.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So what's interesting is like today, 30 plus years later, I'm like really known as a prospecting coach and trainer. And like, if you're going to look across the profession, like if you're going to have somebody teach you prospecting and all of network marketing, who's it going to be? My name is pretty much at the top of that list every single time. There's other elements to what we do, leadership and team building and all of that, and things that I've, obviously teach as well. But,
yep.
You can't team build if you can't prospect and bring people in. So even to this day, I still do a ton of training on this very subject. And so, I'm not the same person today that I was 10, 20, 30 years ago. I was a stuttering, sweaty, nervous wreck who could hardly recruit anybody to save my life. But I was hungry. I wanted to figure it out. So I was like, okay, think about this. Anybody who's watching, what is it you want to get good at? Whatever it is, think about something you're already good at. How did you get good at it? Were you great instantly? Were you an expert instantly? I just got off the mountain this morning for a couple hours, and I've skied for over 40 years. I'm an expert skier. It didn't happen overnight. It was, the first time I was, playing pizza, and I finally got to French fries and then ripping the mountain. So the same thing goes with this, but what's fascinating to me specifically in entrepreneurship and in network marketing is people come in all the time and they're like, they want to get good, but they're not willing to work on getting good. They come in, they plug in, and then they go. I'm like, dude, you need to work on you. You need to develop the skills. Like if you're going to get good at this, you've never done it. Okay, cool. What do you think you would need to do to get good at this? Oh, and you can't play the person being asked that question can't play the dumb card. It's like, oh, if I want to be good at prospecting and network marketing, maybe I should study other successful network marketers. Maybe I should observe somebody else and watch and listen and pay close attention to what they're doing and what they're saying and how they're saying it. What does their day look like? What do they spend their time doing? How do they do what they do? And then you're like, okay, well, they're spending their time talking to people. They're spending their time presenting, exposing, following up with people. All right, well, I need to make sure I'm getting good at those different elements. And one thing that almost never happens in this business, which just honestly, it kind of pisses me off a little bit because there are so many people that it's not working for me. I'm like, dude, it's not working for you because you're not working on you and you're not working on it. You're avoiding it because you're afraid, you're caught up in this, which is the biggest barrier for everybody. And if you because the confidence and competence are directly correlated, they're directly related. If you want to increase your confidence, you got to increase your competence, your core competencies, your skills. So the more skilled you are, the more confident you're going to become. If you're low in skill, you're not going to have much confidence.
Yep.
And this business, it's not that hard. I mean, my gosh, if we talk about specifically network marketing, what do you do? Oh, well, I go out and share this product and I gather customers. I build a team. I go talk to people about how they can feel better, look better, do better, whatever, depending on what your products or services are. And I go find people who have a desire to create financial change in their life, and I show them an avenue on how to do it. I mean, there's a lot worse things you could be doing every single day.
I mean, this is really an interesting, just going into this, something that Jeff and I have committed to our audience is this year is going to be, we call it the awakening, that so many people have been asleep, that the pandemic finally woke people up of like, wow, could I just have it go back to where it was? Well, wasn't that what you were just complaining about? Why don't you wake up? Like there's a world going on, there's growth, there's things happening. And, if you're not doing something that AI and machine learning can't do, you're already screwed. Like things are just going to, get worse and worse for you. So you got to work on yourself. And it's an interesting thing to hear you say, it always comes back to us, right? Because, to say I'm going to go into this business, or all of the excuses that people make, it really is because they're just not willing to step aside and their opinions that it's not me, it's you. It was me, it was the business. It was me, it was the industry, it was me, it was the people are such stuck in the pity party of, blaming on everybody else, but never stop to look in the mirror and say, I wonder if maybe I did something a little different. Maybe if I changed a little bit, maybe my whole circumstances would actually change. So this was, we talk about rocket recruiting, and everybody on here understands our whole idea of, why don't you lead with the giving hand, that you're going to give somebody a raise by joining your home-based business, because I truly believe they aren't going to go and just magically start selling things. It takes time. And it's like, why don't you take the next year, because you're now profitable in your business? Why don't you take the next year and work on you? Who cares about the product? Go work on yourself, but give yourself a chance to do it, versus so stressed out because I didn't make any money this month. Oh my gosh, next month I got to cancel my auto ship. Well, if you're profitable and if you leave, you lose that money. But it's almost like they take the raise and then they still don't understand it's still you getting in the way.
It's so unbelievably common. There's so many people in our business that could flat go crush it, but they just don't. They're constantly getting in their own way. I mean, and I mean, I even had a conversation this morning with a pretty high level leader who doesn't like where their check is at currently. And I said, look, man, I said, if you want your check to trend differently, like, you're the one that's in control of it. You know, I mean, sure, in network marketing, the beautiful thing is you can have a big team and earn income on the efforts of, lots of other people. But if you want to, like, take the bull by the horns and take your, you need to be behind the reins and guiding it and doing it. And a lot of people just stay in avoidance, and the biggest, like, I run these big A teams. Like, I've got, I think, almost 1,000 people in the 2 A teams that I'm running right now. And the number one thing that's like the one thing I need to work on, and which is crazy, and it's like, this is like success 101, is I'm just struggling to stay consistent. I'm like, a guy like me, like, then just be consistent, right? Just show up every day and do the right activities. How hard is it? It's not hard.
It's interesting to hear you say that it's not hard. If you, and this is why I truly believe if we take every person and spend an hour with them and go and ask them about their childhood and ask them how they were raised and what took them from just, let's call it 3 steps into where they are today. One thing that I heard you say earlier, and I think this is important because it's a commonality I'm hearing, is that you saw the difference between, like, mediocre and where you could be. But second is you got bullied. You had something to prove. I talked about Steve, like, this kid, his dad said he's never going to amount to anything. He has something to prove. That it's like, you want to, like, do not go against a person that has something to prove, because they will die doing it, proving it. And many people that didn't have that and don't have something to prove, I find they run out of motivation. It's that consistency. They don't have anything, because they're okay having an excuse. They're okay being okay. And just, I made myself a promise tomorrow and I broke it, but I've broken it 50 times. Like, I'll break it another 50 times. There comes a point to where I almost think the number one thing, and I'm curious of your thoughts on this, on just, being successful and building teams and doing these things, it's accountability, like, to yourself. Like, we can talk about getting accountability partner and get it. And these are probably some of the biggest things you notice with your A team and others, is you suddenly say you're accountable for something now. Like you're going to have to come back and tell me what you did on this.
Yeah, and that's exactly what A team is. It's all about accountability. It's about, learning to be self-disciplined. But the biggest challenge, and the reason people are not consistent in what they do, is, like, human beings have, like, we have this built-in feature where it's like, we want to be wanted, valued, needed, and appreciated, right? We want to be accepted. That's human beings in general.
Yep.
And so when somebody goes out, or they're about to go out and prospect someone, for example, they're so worried about what the other person's going to think of them and how they're going to judge them, because they brought them something, right? I mean, that's like the big stopping point for most people. And we live in such an approval-based society. I mean, all of social media is totally approval focused. It's like, oh, well, why are you, thumbs up, likes, comments, shares, whatever.
Yes.
So, people are constantly, more than ever, seeking this validation and this approval. And nobody likes to be rejected, right? Like, to be cast out or not accepted. And I think when it comes to this business or sales in general, I think having a paradigm shift with, when somebody says no to you, that they're really not saying no to you, they're saying no to themselves. And what a lot of people do is they internalize it and personalize it, and they make it their own. And so they feel like when the person says, no, I'm not interested in taking a look at your network marketing thing, oh, they're rejecting me. Well, they're just saying no. Maybe not. Maybe they verbalized and said no to you, but they're saying no to themselves. No, it's not the right time, or no, it's not for me, or no, whatever. But you're not asking the person out on a date, and they're saying, hey, no, I don't want to go out with you. Look at you, man. You're ugly. Your teeth are crooked. Your breath stinks. You got dirt underneath your fingernails. You got no style. You smell. Oh, by the way, did I say you have no personality as well? No. Okay, that would be rejection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're just saying, hey, look, I got this thing that I'm doing, and I'd love for you to take a look at it. I don't know if you're in a position in your life where you're looking for financial change or not, but if I put you in front of these videos, would you take a look at it, and then we can chat? No,
I think it's an interesting thing looking at cold market and warm market. So in your warm market, people watch more than they listen. So you can say everything you want, and especially on social media, how in a glass bowl we are now, people are watching you. And if you get on every day and bitch and moan about your life and that the government and politics and the new president's gonna, save my life, then the second you approach me, why do I want to join that? So I remember somebody saying to me, well, I don't have, a bunch of money to go vacation, do all this. Going out and just showing a smile. Like if I come across somebody at a beach with a smile, did that cost them anything? Zero. They go into a flowery garden and they're smiling. That didn't cost them anything. What people need to understand is happy, fun, smiley is contagious.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
So when we talk about, if you're approaching your warm market and they are saying not interested, I would kind of stop for a minute and say, they're reflecting something that they are seeing in me. Because if they were seeing something like a change in me, I'm pretty sure they'd even ask me like, dude, what are you up to? Like when things are going great and you're positive and happy, it's amazing how many people reach out and go, bro, what are you up to, man? Like, what are you doing these days? So just, I want people to be aware of that, of what they are doing, that maybe they don't think people are watching. They are, they see it. And so start to, and again, it comes back again to, are you happy? If you're not happy, things become, and you can leak, you can act all happy. And then it's funny how, politics, where somebody's like, oh, I'm not in politics. And then they snap and they come out. To me, that's a leak. That's who you really are.
Yeah, for sure.
We're covering it up. So start to work on yourself to show, do you want to be a part of something like this? In a cold market, and it was funny, I was driving one day and on the freeway, there was this car that beat up with duct tape on it, literally the side had duct tape, but his bumper said honk if you want to make an extra $10,000 a month.
Wrong car for that sticker.
Oh, I went by him, I was honking, I was like, yeah, dude, this is awesome. But the whole, in the cold market, they don't know you, you don't know them. And so to have somebody say no when they don't know you and they don't really know the product, maybe would tell me, maybe I'm not introducing it a certain way, or maybe I need to work on that, or work on me, or maybe I'm not smiling. Like a big thing I will tell everybody, before you ever go into a meeting or get on a call, you have to smile. Like before I make calls, I'm always like, there's something about the energy or contagious that it transcends onto that phone. But if you are like, oh man, I'm freaking out, I'm stressed out, and you get on the phone, it just seems like there's friction, like the second you get on that phone. So do you, as far as the accountability side and what you do with the A team, what are maybe three things, or what would you say are some of the key things that people could take away from this Zoom of just, I think one is personal, kind of like, it's that guy right there. But what other things do you feel like are really critical success factors that they need to look into?
Yeah, I mean, I think I could go in so many different directions with that one. But in terms of like, accountability, discipline, consistency. I mean, everybody who's in the business, even if they're in for a week, like they know that if they're gonna make money, they got to go put people on their products and build a team. And then, so I think one thing would be, and there's no, you have policies and procedures that you abide by with the contract that you have between you and the whatever company you represent. But there's not like no rules, right? You can either lay on the couch all day or get after it all day. So one of the things that I do in A Team is I have people pick a number, like get what is the minimum, like, and it's a rule, it's a law. It's not something you're shooting for. Is like every single day without fail, before I go to bed, before my day is done, I do X number of intentional business building reach outs. Not a Facebook live, a curiosity post. I'm talking about I'm reaching out and saying, Jeff, I've got this thing, or David, check this out, or Eric, whatever. So I'm really executing an invite. And at least that way, what it gets them into the focus of is one big thing every single day, which it is the one big thing, right? Is prospecting exposure. And so it makes them just hone in on what, regardless of all the other things, like your day is never done until you've done X. And the X is going to be based on how much time that you put into your business. Somebody who's doing 2 hours a day versus 8 hours a day, the X is going to be bigger with the 8 hour day person, but it needs to be a number that you can hit every single day without fail, that also forces you to stretch. So I just executed this in my A Team that we just started. And this one kid said 50. And it happens every time I do it. I'm like, bro, 50, you're not going to do 50 a day every single day without fail.
Yep.
I'm talking about hitting a number like this, guaranteed, no matter what happens in my day, I'm never finished until this happens. It might be 3 a day. It might be 5 a day. It might be 8, but it's certainly not going to be in the 25 to 30. I mean, even myself, I got other things I got to do during the day, but I'd never spend a day. And this is a really important thing, because I was asked on a radio show last year, like why have you not had a bad year in 30 plus years? I said, well, number one, I never let any day pass without doing some type of personal revenue producing activity, right? I don't, like today, like as soon as we're done with this, I got to go do a probably 45-minute video. I've got to do a couple other things. I got to write this fast start guide, or finish writing this fast start guide. But, I, even in the midst of all the busyness, every single day, I'm drumming up new business conversations. Because what else is there? There's nothing that's more important. Yes, you need to work on your mindset. You need to work on your skills. You need to go through personal growth. You need to be organized, all these things. But if you're going to get paid, you got to do something that's going to pay you. That's one thing. That's Number two, and another thing that I do in A Team is I have people track their revenue producing activities. Because like I get people come to me all the time complaining about how they're not getting results. And I'm like, okay, well, what have you done the last 90 days? Like, seriously, this is common. This is like the standard answer. Like in the dictionary on this question, this is the answer. They come to you and they're like, oh yeah, my business, the team member comes to you, my business isn't working. It's not working for me. I'm like, okay, all right. So, all right, I hear you. So it's not working for you. Sounds like you're about to quit. Let me ask you this, like, give me a good idea, give or take, last 90 days, how many people you think you put in front of this business? And they're like, well, gosh, not enough. So wait a minute, they already know the answer. So they're like, you're mad at the lack of the results from the work you never did. And dude, it happens to new people. It happens to people who've been in the game for a long time. I'm like, you're not even in the business. You're in it, but you're not doing the business.
Dabbling.
And so I just think it's really, really important that people get a grip on what they're doing. Like I literally, and I'll show you, this is like, I got this thing I made for me. It's the Fearless Networking Prospecting Partner. And I log, I'll show you a blank sheet, but I log every single bit of business building activity. Every time I do a phone call, text message, email to somebody, if it's an intentional something to grow my business, it gets logged. And I've got a log in chronological order of all the calls, stuff. Like I can go back here. And if you came to me and you were my upline, for example, and said, hey, what have you done lately? I'm like, look, dude, I did 28 calls yesterday. I did 14 the day before. I did 38 the day before that. And here's the proof. I've got it. Most people are like,
I mean, there's the success factor right there. I mean, it's, So in our dashboard now, but we're updating. So it's got the daily activity tracker. And I've kind of got this thought process or belief that you got to touch whatever you want to grow at least 10 times. So, it's funny, my Shelly in the morning, she'll tap me like 5 times and go, there's 5. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't count. You can't just tap somebody 5 times.
Like that?
But yeah, there's 10, boom. But whether it be your relationship, your business, you've got to take 10 touches on that to grow it, or it's it's fading away. You're doing 50 touches on here, something is lacking on that side of it. So we have on the dashboard this 10 daily activities per day that we say, if you just do 10 things, send out a tax savings estimator, you call 5 people, set up 3 appointments, whatever it is, there's your goal right there. And it's something that shows them the result every day, and then puts a leaderboard to start to show that, hey, here's people and why they're successful of what they're doing. But something that we just released, and I haven't even told you about this, is that I feel like people lose motivation because they're willing to give up on themselves or make an excuse for themselves, but not for somebody else. That's why the whole, getting a accountability partner, a gym coach, like you pay $100, like you're going to get there. So we actually worked out a deal with multiple charities that feed kids, that every time you do your 10 daily activities, we will feed 1 child.
Oh, that's cool.
And so we call it Project Smile. And
Nice.
so if you do your activity, a child gets fed, because the whole point that we want to make is this is bigger than you. Like, we have a mission to go, end malnutrition, but it starts with you doing your activities for your business. And so if you don't, a child doesn't get fed. Like, we want to guilt the shit out of them and say, hey, this can either make you feel good or feel bad, but the byproduct of feeding children is you're building your business. And so we wanted to help people get above them and create a mission above them. I'd like to add, like, what's your mission? Like, you've done this for so many years. I mean, what's the mission? We talked many times about, dude, let's finish this thing. Let's go ski and have fun and do amazing things and impact the world. But when you started this, you had a mission, and whether you failed, it always goes like this. It's never straight, but I know you had a mission that you were going towards. What is that?
Yeah, I think my mission was probably selfish to some extent, and probably still is a little bit, where, when I began the journey, it was, I wanted to have a good life, right? I mean, that was it. I just wanted to have like good money and, free time. And I've always loved playing and doing stuff. And I mean, life's short, man. Work hard, play hard, like do something that's going to pay you well and give you the free time. And that's why I got so excited about network marketing, was big money and free time. But the crazy thing about that, I mean, I say it's selfish, but the only way you can succeed is by helping other people, right? You cannot win in network marketing by being completely selfish. So going into it is like, hey, this is for me. I want to make some big money, but the only way to get to the big money is I got to help people. I got to help people win. I got to help them earn checks. And then when I segued into training and speaking, I got to help people understand that, to see things in themselves they currently don't see for themselves, and to help them develop those assets and those skills. And, so honestly, I'd say my overall mission is just like helping people live an amazing life, helping people to, realize that there's amazing potential that they have within them to do so much more, to do so much greater than they're currently doing. And that they're, in most cases, they're their own worst enemy.
What an amazing, you get so many people that today have such a stigma of what people are feeding them, spoon feeding this stigma of what they think network marketing is, when typically they don't even know really what it is. But I want to just reemphasize what you just said. Network marketing is a business that you cannot be successful and make the big dollars unless you help other people make big dollars. Yeah. Like I say all the time, and especially speaking, I go, is it better to give or receive? And everybody goes, give. And I'm like, no. If you don't receive anything, meaning you don't go build something, that means to me that nobody's made any money.
Yeah.
That means you need to go make money, because then you can give more money. And in network marketing, it's if you do not spend the time to go be successful, meaning be greedy, selfish, because you're going to pull the only way you're going to make this is everyone's making money. People are succeeding. But if you're sitting here and giving away everything and you don't really care and no big deal, guys, this is a nonprofit, you're not serving anybody. So, I look at traditional business, and that was, growing up, going B2B and going in these enterprises. I remember Siebel Systems. Remember the big Siebel?
Yeah.
Okay, so they cut every month, they cut the bottom 20%. So these people were just cutthroat. Everybody was stealing from everybody. Like, it was the worst environment, but they wanted to keep it so competitive that nobody really cared about each other. Where here you've got an engine, a vehicle that you don't have to, have a master's degree, and you don't have to do all this and be there and go to work, but it requires you just to be, invest in yourself and be a better person and help other people. All the things that impact is about. Here's an engine that lets you do it. Like, how incredible is that? Like, how can anybody say this isn't the most incredible engine ever that allows me the freedom and the ability to do it, but yet I'm willing to not fight for it. I'm willing to let other people, tell me their opinion. And now, maybe that's my opinion now.
It's that FOPO that Todd talked about. We fear rejection from other people. FOPO is fear of other people's opinions, right? Yeah. We all have it. All of us do, even the most successful people. And one thing that's helped, I think, get over that is why do I fear rejection? Why do I fear somebody else's opinion about me? And the reason why we do is because there is an insecurity that we have about something about us. Why would we validate somebody's opinion about us when they don't even know who we are? And so I think that's the biggest difference, is that a lot of us will make an excuse and say, well, what's that guy know? He doesn't know me. Look what he's doing. Look at his car he's driving. There's duct tape on it. And we can justify the way that we feel, and therefore justify the FOPO that we have, because it's so hard for people to look internal and say, my gosh, I'm behaving a certain way. Why am I behaving that way? What is it in my past, or what is it about my person that makes me fear rejection, or that makes somebody have power over me when they say something that's not true? And for most of us, it's easy to just say, they don't know me, or to make an excuse and not go through that process of finding out what that is for ourselves. And so, Todd, when you said, confidence is competence, that's it. We're confident when we understand those things about ourselves. So we become invincible and indestructible if we don't have FOPO. Well, how do you get rid of FOPO? By understanding why those things make you feel the way they do and fixing them. And it's not easy. We can't. Some of us want to sit here in a solitary space and let the world spin around and change for us and everything be better. What we don't want to do is say, that world's not going to spin for me. I better start rotating around that world, or things aren't going to happen. And so I think we have a tremendous opportunity. Todd and Eric, you both hit on this of you don't make money in network marketing until you help other people make money. But for so long, our success in network marketing and success as an entrepreneur has been based on money. And we oftentimes step over an opportunity to not only help people make more money, but learn things about themselves that far supersede the importance of money in our lives. And I think, Todd, you getting into training and coaching does that. But I'd love to ask you, Todd, because you have such an impact on the marketplaces, in addition to help people make more money, which is how we make more money, what else can we do as leaders to truly have an impact in people's lives besides helping them just make money? What power do we have to help people that are entrepreneurs and to realize the impact they can truly create besides just financially in the world?
Well, I think the truth is that when you have the money, you've got the freedom to do other things, right? So I think, money is simply a tool to get you whatever, wherever it is that you want to go. But what the crazy thing is, when you're not making money, all you do is think about money. But then when you're making money, you don't think about money, right? I mean, it's like in terms of like worries, like most people's worry is not enough. But what happens when you have enough? Like, and it could be something as simple as going out to eat, and you're like, I don't even know how much I just spent just now. I think I blacked out when I signed the check. I don't remember. I didn't even. In other words, you didn't even register the number because it didn't matter. Yes. Versus some people are like, oh my gosh, we can't get that, or you know what I'm saying? So when you help enough people, get money out of the way, then those individuals can go and do whatever it is that they want to do to make an impact. That maybe it's, helping kids, maybe it's helping, people that have got, some affliction, or maybe they want to spend more time, helping out at their church, or, volunteering for different things. I personally, like two things that are, I would say, of a passion to me are kids, and just making sure that, children, they're our future, right? So them, that's a big focus point for me in terms of areas that we give. My wife kind of handles most of that stuff, but that, and then this whole human trafficking thing is ugly and nasty, and those people need to be taken down. So,
well, just the light that's been shined on that. I know for myself, that's a very uncomfortable, especially having a daughter, that's a very uncomfortable conversation, and just getting into learning more about that. But again, if you turn the cheek and and don't face it, are you really helping? So to actually start to look at those types of things, and again, it's with anything, whether it be that, whether it be, in your business, if you're not awake, again, wake up and start to connect and start to dig into those things that you didn't know what you didn't know, didn't realize were holding you back. I think that's massive. So yeah. We're getting to about an hour. So I wanted to do two things. One is, so how do people, you're everywhere. So I was going to say, where can people find out more about you? Where would you like people to go? That's kind of the best.
Yeah, I think the best place for people to plug into me is just my main website, which is my name, toddfalcone.com.
Okay, great. And so we wanted to today, just you coming on here doing this. So we're going to, Jeff and I were talking about, we're going to donate 1,000 to 1,000 kids to get fed today, just in your name, just for coming on, just to say thank you of sharing this experience, hopefully sharing a light on things that have helped you, made you more successful in this journey, which, it's not over. We're still learning. We're still trying to figure this out, trying to figure out how to balance life and all the especially the world that it is today. But if you're watching this video, please comment, share, tell us what you loved about what Todd's doing. Make sure that you go connect with him. Content wise, I've never met anyone that has more amazing content. And I say that because there's lots of content people that just watch people regurgitate, respin their content and push it back out, which just pisses me off. But you have, what I love about you so much, number one, your heart, but number two is, it's I'll call it the soft raw, is that you have compassion because you understand the challenges people are going through, but it's the rawness that people need of saying, I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it that you're going to go make, $5,000 tomorrow by doing nothing. You got to put in the work. These are the things. And if you spend the time doing these things, you will get the result. And I strongly suggest and recommend, watching Todd for a long time with his A teams, you become who you surround yourself with. And, Todd and I have taken trips around the world together. We've spent a lot of time going through these things and discussing things that most people, I don't think really get to that level. And I truly, I appreciate you, appreciate your friendship, appreciate, your willingness to open up and help people like this.
Likewise, brother. Always enjoy hanging with you, and great to be with you and your audience today. And Jeff, great to see you again as well. David, I see Israel as well. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. I think we're gonna hang out and do some ski turns soon.
Dude, hey, you made a promise to me.
I know. I told my wife that. As soon as I messaged you back, I said, I'm going to Salt Lake. She goes, why? I said, I just made a promise.
Boom. I love it.
Get some snow first.
Yes,
I love it. Exactly. Wait till we get a little dump.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might be coming up here.
I was going to say, let's do that. And then as soon as we get some snow, we'll go back to Park City.
Sounds good.
All right, brother. I appreciate you. Everybody have an amazing day.
Todd. Great to see you, man. Great job.
Thanks, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's, you guys.
Thanks, Todd. Appreciate it.
Thanks, David.
All right.
Aloha.
Aloha. All right. Thanks, you guys. Join us next week for our next Insider's Edge. I just named it that. So there's our Insider's Edge tips, insights, strategies to building a successful, conscious, impactful business. Thanks, you guys.